This is the newest Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro, and which do you think is better? Hi everyone, this is JD, your gadget review friend. Welcome back to GadgetRevNow. These are two of the most popular Pixel phones, two of the most expensive, and two of the most sought-after devices. Pixel 7 is the latest regular flagship with a smaller screen, smaller battery, and a dual camera setup, but also cheaper. While Pixel 7 Pro is the high-end flagship model rocking the gorgeous 120Hz AMOLED screen, triple camera setup, but also more expensive. So today we will not single out the camera performance and speed, we will talk about the overall performance of these two phones. Let the battle begin. First, let's talk about the design and build, and the more expensive Pixel 7 Pro is slightly heavier than Pixel 7, weighing 212 grams as opposed to 197 grams. In terms of build quality, it's a toss between the two phones. They both have Gorilla Glass Victus front and back, sandwiching by aluminum frame. I would say comparing these two phones against the competition, they're both using premium materials, which you will be happy knowing. Both has IP68 protection that can be submerged to water 1.5 meters in 30 minutes, and almost all the buttons and ports are on the same side. Pixel 7 Pro is slightly larger than Pixel 7, and that's because of the bigger screen. Of course, the Ultras and the Pros normally has bigger screen. Looking at the design, there's not much of a distinction between the two, only the single camera module at the back for the telephoto lens. Of course, because the Pro version is triple camera setup, consisting of wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto, there's an additional hole for the telephoto lens. But other than that, both looks the same, so this category is a tie for me. Alright, so far so good with the design. Let's talk about the cameras. If we talk about the essential features from the computational photography to low light, you might not be missing much if you buy the regular Pixel 7. Of course, there are differences between the two phones, but for some users who are contemplating on buying the S23 Ultra or iPhone 14 Pro, the difference might not be significant. First, let's talk about the spec sheets. They have similar main sensor and ultra-wide sensor. The only difference is the ultra-wide. It has a wider field of view of 126 degrees compared to 114 degrees of Pixel 7, so it's slightly wider on the Pro version. Both of these phones has identical 10.8 megapixel sensor on their selfie camera that can shoot 4K video recording. The main difference is the telephoto lens that has multi-directional face detection, autofocus, and OIS, and 5 times optical zoom. The Pro version also has the glorious camera feature called Cinematic Video that's battling Samsung's Portrait Mode and iPhone Cinematic Mode. This can shoot full HD video, and sometimes the subject separation is a little bit sketchy, but for the purpose of it, I think it's worth it. This is the video sample of Pixel 7 using 4K 30 FPS of the rear camera, and this is the cinematic mode of Pixel 7 Pro. And as you can see, there's a background blur, but this can only shoot full HD 30 FPS. Now we're shooting 4K 30 FPS on Pixel 7 Pro, and I think you will be happy owning any of these two phones because on vlogging, you can use speech enhancement for better voice quality. Alright, so far pretty close fight, but again, the subtle differences might be a deal breaker for you, especially the camera if you want a telephoto zoom lens and cinematic video. But for anyone who's a gamer, a heavy user, or just a regular consumer, let's talk about the performance of both of these flagship phones. Starting with the processors, both phones has the newest Google Tensor chip Gen 2, and even the mid-range Google Pixel 7a has this chipset too. Opening and closing of the apps are really fast on my everyday use. I don't feel any hiccups using this phone. It's pretty snappy with that bare-bone Pixel UI. Again, Google is trying to integrate their software and hardware, so it doesn't matter if they have the inferior Tensor chip compared to the Snapdragon, because Pixel UI works really well with the hardware. The main difference is the configuration. If you're buying the base model of these two phones, you would get 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. But if you're buying the max out version on the Pixel 7, you will get 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, while you will get a whopping 512 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM on the Pro version. Personally, Pixel 7 Pro will make a lot of sense if you're gunning for a faster performance, better multitasking, and more storage space if you're needing to install a lot of apps and shooting a lot of 4K videos. I think in this category, I would give a slight edge on Pixel 7 Pro if we're not incorporating the price and solely performance. The highest configuration of Pixel 7 Pro will beat Pixel 7. Okay, so I think Pixel 7 Pro has slight advantage over performance. Now let's talk about the screen. In normal day-to-day use, I don't think you would see much of a difference between these two phones, but the technology behind the screen is a little different on both phones. For smaller hands, I think you would be happy with a 6.3-inch AMOLED screen on Pixel 7. It has 90Hz refresh rate, HDR10+, with 1400 nits of max brightness. Looking at the differences between these two devices, I wouldn't say I can see the difference with my bare eyes, but Pixel 7 Pro is superior. It has a gorgeous AMOLED screen with 120Hz refresh rate, it has a bigger 6.7-inch with 1500 nits of max brightness, and it is 1440p resolution. Pixel 7 only has Full HD while Pixel 7 Pro is Quad HD. Although Pixel 7 Pro has better screen technology than Pixel 7, I think one of the advantages of the regular Pixel is the battery life, because obviously if you use all the maxed out technology of the Pro version, then you will drain the battery faster. But for the sake of this comparison, I will give this win on Pixel 7 Pro.
Die for my high self-resurrection.
Alright, so continuing with our discussion about the battery life in terms of physical size. Pixel 7 Pro battery is bigger than Pixel 7 with 5000 mAh as opposed to 4335 mAh. And while on papers you would think that Pixel 7 Pro will have better battery performance, again if you use all the maxed out screen technology of Pixel 7 Pro, I noticed it will burn the battery faster compared to the regular Pixel. I would say 1 to 2 hours difference if you put the screen to Quad HD and 120Hz refresh rate and use the 1500 nits of max brightness. So although physically Pixel 7 has smaller battery, but in terms of battery performance, the regular Pixel gets a win on this category. Alright, so I think we've talked about all the hardware and physical components of these two awesome Google phones. Now let's talk about the software. Both of them are really snappy with the minimalist and simple Pixel UI, and again, although they are using a more inferior Tensor chip processor, they feel as snappy as the more expensive Android phones. Weird, right? But great execution from Google. And if we talk about the updates, Pixel phones are well supported like the iPhones and Samsungs of the world. The only concern I have with Pixel phones is Google is only offering 3 years of OS upgrade, which will be until October 2025, but they will get security patches like Samsung phones for at least 5 years, and it will end October 2027. So although these two phones will end the OS upgrade 2 years from now, they will still get security patches, which is more important after 4 more years. So anyone planning to resell their existing Pixel 7 or Pixel 7 Pro will have enough time to use it and repackage the phone for resale. And lastly, let's talk about the price. So this might be subjective depending on the discounts, but currently on Google website, Pixel 7 is priced around 800 Canadian dollars, while Pixel 7 Pro is 1200 Canadian dollars. So in terms of value, you will get Pixel 7 with at least 2/3 of the price of the Pro version. I think both phones are really good. I mean, if I wanted to save a little bit more money, I would definitely go with Pixel 7. Again, I think the regular flagship should cover all the essentials from the camera performance, screen, build quality, and speed. You are not sacrificing that much when you opted to buy the regular Pixel 7. Well, if I wanted to get the best possible version of a Pixel phone, I would go with the highest tier, which is the Pixel 7 Pro. It has the telephoto zoom, and if you pay a little bit more, you will get the 512GB version with 12GB of RAM. But personally, if I were to choose between these two phones, I would probably go with the Pixel 7. I think it offers more value than the Pro version. Again, if I go to the highest configuration, I still need to pay a little bit more. So if I'm deciding to buy the base model, I think Pixel 7 is the best option. So this is the versus series of Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro. Which do you think is better? I will compare these two phones, maybe the camera test next, so stay tuned. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.